Astrology friends, these are your June 2023 video horoscopes with me, Lada from Astrolada.com. And June we have a very monumental event, Jupiter conjunct the North Node. That's a manifestation of wishes combination. I mentioned it in some videos that this combination was when the king would gather its priests to pray to the gods, because they believe that when Jupiter is with the North Node, the prayers of humanities are heard and reach God more. So now it's time to dream big or to pray more because some wishes will come true. And there's some other important events that I'll talk about. But first I want to tell you that me and Trifon are doing a course on June the 10th and the 11th on the 100 fixed stars, most important according to ancient sources, how they play out in the natal chart, what it means for you. You can read the horoscope just using fixed stars, nothing else. That's how I read most horoscopes. And I'm starting a new big offer throughout the whole summer. Every 3 weeks, anyone who wants to learn astrology, I'll be recommending a few courses, foundational and more advanced, about a certain topic that are the essential courses, because we have more than 300 astrology courses. So I'll be recommending which are the best for certain topics, and every month I'll do a live Q&A with everyone who takes those courses. You can ask me, we can do more than one Q&A, so you can learn astrology with me, and there'll be big discount on the bundles of those courses on different topics. We start with astrology of relationships. Check it out. I'll put a link below. You can check on my website. There will be updated courses every 3 weeks, and then the discount disappears. But I will be throughout you the whole summer with every new person that joins for any questions on this process of learning with me, because we have incredible courses from incredible astrologers, and mine, of course, always will be present there. Thank you. Let's start. Gemini, Sun, Moon or Rising, June 2023, your month, guys. Let's see how it goes. Usually especially if your Sun is in Gemini and you're having a solar return, some of the biggest events for the year happen within a few weeks of your birthday that give you a sign for the next 12 months. So always stay very tuned in, even a month before your birthday, let's say even a week before your birthday, and then the next 2-3 weeks up to a month after your birthday, because some of the most important events always are triggered then. They give you an idea how the whole year will go. Oh, they are actually the most important events, so you might get ideas to write down, but usually the actual events. But let's start day by day from the very beginning of the month on the 1st already. You'd feel it in May as well, but the whole June is under the influence of Jupiter conjunct the North Node, which the ancients said that the kings would send all their priests to pray because they believed their prayers are heard more powerfully when Jupiter joins with the North Node of the Moon, because both have expansive influence and both can manifest. So what are you going to manifest, Gemini? What's happening in your 12th house? Definitely your prayers. 12th house rules prayers, the invisible world. Definitely there can be some opening to those invisible realms. So even though this is very material combination, the North Node with Jupiter, it gives very tangible results. For you, it's happening in an intangible house. So in extreme cases, this can be like even getting tangible confirmation of existence, beloved ones that have passed, or tangible, or some kind of a tangible proof or connection, or hearing of prayers, or getting signs from angels, entities, aliens, call them whatever you want. All of those invisible, anything that is beyond our 1% of visible world, you might be getting signals there. And that's for the most sensitive ones. But definitely your intuition is like, Jupiter magnifies, the North Node magnifies, the 12 houses without boundaries and connects to the invisible world and opens portals in the invisible world. It's like, wow. Okay, so there is messages for you. Like if you have a reading now, it can blow your mind, or if you have you might have some realization where you download information directly from the invisible world, especially if you're a creative person. It might be that you download without boundaries, an idea for a book, or an idea for a pottery, or an idea for a business. Something from your subconscious is like comes up from the invisible world and hits you. The whole month is kind of full of those flash eureka moments that can happen. Or even the 12th house is buried memories of the subconscious from past lifetimes or from early childhood. This can be hitting you, like they can, Jupiter in the North Node really will stir the pot there of the buried subconscious memories. So if you have a past life regression, wow, you might go back to Atlantis or whatever. Or you can, it definitely opens doors to the subconscious realms. Or if you work with a psychologist, or even if you don't, or in your dream life, 12th house rules the dream life, you can have very vivid dreams, you can be given messages there, ideas, or you can just like suddenly download things, or you can just be more intuitive overall. Or there can be a lot of action behind the scenes. That's another thing of the 12th house. And if you're a creative person, musician, artist, fashion designer, designer of any sort, writing poetry or whatever it is that's more of the imagination, or writing books, again, downloads, inspiration that can come to you, ideas. You know who has Jupiter with the North Node in the 12th house by birth? You're going to have it temporarily this whole month, and even in May you feel it. But it's Nikola Tesla. I'm not saying you're going to be Nikola Tesla, but he could see, his imagination was so vivid that actually that's what everyone will be able to do in the future, that whatever you imagine it's not just random images in your head, you feel it as with your third eye in front of you, like proper creative imagination. So I'm saying that such abilities of the subconscious and the imaginative abilities will really intensify for you for some time, and intuitive ones as well. The 12th house is also, when my husband had Rahu, the North Node with Jupiter in the 12th house, 7 years ago, we met, and he for the first time traveled abroad. 12th house rules faraway places. So it's good time if you're Gemini now to travel. Maybe you've already started, but this, and not only now, the whole summer ahead, and even for a year ahead while Jupiter is in your 12th house, but Rahu intensifies it. So maybe the ideas for this can come up, or actually it can manifest it. Faraway travel. My husband traveled for the first time outside of the States during that time, and it was not a small travel. It was like 2 months all over whole Europe. So it can give you green light, and it can open door for foreign documents or relocations as well, from far away from where you live as well. It can give you green light for anything 12th house. On the negative side, it can give you permission to abuse all kind of escapism, you know, alcohol, drugs. If you already have such inclinations, like the North Node and Jupiter intensifies that to the extent you can have certain experiences out there. But you know, North Node and Jupiter, we have to be careful with them. They're force of nature together. And this 12th house of our subconscious motivations, sometimes we can open even doors to entities in some way that take over our desires. And 12th house is also known as house of bed pleasures. So Jupiter in the North Node can really intensify bed pleasures there for some of you. But there is a note of hidden, a note of that it's kind of behind the scenes because of this 12th energy, because it's enemy of the marriage, the 6th house, sorry, the 12th house. It's the 6th from the 7th. But still, I'm not saying, oh, Geminis are going to have affairs or something like that. I'm just saying it's a possibility. Or start something private, secret that is... but also because it increases the imagination, the desire nature of a person, the bed pleasures as well, and so on. For others, it can be just an opening to study mysteries, to dive into a lot of time exploring the imagination, reading books, novels, or exploring mysteries, astrology. The 12th house is deep research and studies, and Jupiter gives incredible understanding when it transits the 12th house. Incredible insight, almost intuitive, and Rahu can intensify that. So it can be a great time to study to start some research, to study something. And if you want to study with me, again, I'm starting also every 3 weeks, different topic, 3 recommended courses in a bundle with big discount. And I do live sessions once a month to answer your questions. If you want to see out of the 300 courses astrological we have, I'll be picking 2 or 3 courses for each topic that are the best. And you can stay with me the whole month, the whole summer, sorry. We'll be going through different topics. Or you can take a new course with me in Trifon then on the fixed stars in June if you're interested in something new. Anyway, that's for Jupiter with the North Node. Just be careful there for those hidden behind the scenes things. But at the same time, there is a lot of psychological realizations and so on that we talked about. Oh my God, I've been blabbing about this too long. The next big event is that Venus will move into Leo, and it will stay there till October. It's a long time because Venus becomes retrograde there sometimes towards August. That's in your 3rd house. That's great. Great support for you, Gemini, because Venus will be making sextile, and whenever Venus looks at a sign with an aspect, with an easy aspect, this sign is protected. So Jupiter is protecting you from this 3rd house for the next 4 months. But it will also indicate that there's some important developments till October that you experience that will start already from June in regards to this 3rd house. There can be some trips, short trips that start happening, and Venus always makes sure there's enjoyableness and pleasure. Mars there makes it more dynamic till the end of the month because it will be there, but in July it will move out. But there's kind of the adventure of the 3rd house that both Venus and Mars illuminate, to try new things, to experiment, try new interests, try new hobbies, try to do something new with your hands, not only with your hands, with your legs. Anything new that you can learn is the 3rd house, and Venus there can take you on a journey. Definitely it can make your life interesting. You already are someone who is willing to try new things. You're Gemini, you're naturally this 3rd house energy. Venus now will make sure that it's even easier for you, enjoyable to learn new things. If you have any trips to do over the next 3-4 months, it can be a big time for short trips around. You might meet new people, connect with new people when Venus now enters your 3rd house. New acquaintances, associates, teammates, workmates, or friends even. And when Venus turns retrograde towards August, it will be time to reevaluate and rethink some old relationships, friendships. But in the 3rd house, Venus can be good for anything to do with vehicles, for buying laptops, for doing websites, for creating business plans of any sort, for commercial interactions, for media work. It can be great if you want to start doing a video, do a website. Venus makes sure that things will go well there, Or if you want to do anything that requires you to communicate, to write. Some of you might, especially with Jupiter in this 12th house, which gives inspiration to download, Venus in the 3rd house can make it much easier for you to put it on paper or on media in some way. 3rd house is anything media related, writing, speaking, communicating, anything business related as well. Any kind of branding or marketing, working in a team, in a small environment, discussing team meetings, team building. This is 3rd house activities when you work in a team with people. Venus and Mars makes it a bit more shaky for a month, but then you have Venus all the time, so Venus can make you create a good product with a small team, or develop something like a brand, like a marketing or whatever, or reach and connect with more people, create more contacts. It might be someone at school who is becomes more social with Venus in the 3rd house. And also Venus can give you this silver tongue quality when it's in the 3rd house. When your communications flow more easy as well. It can also improve your relationships with siblings, with relatives as well, neighbors, and so on in your local community. All right, so that's one of the things Venus will be doing. And then on the 12th, you're going to have Pluto going back in Capricorn. dipping into the end of the year in your 8th house. I think that's the last time. Maybe there'll be one more time for a couple of months, but it's maybe something that hasn't been completed in regards to taxes, insurances, inheritances. Pluto goes back to complete it, or maybe something psychological that you have to work on. Was there a loss, grieving, or anything in the previous 10-15 years that you kind of, it's like a closing chapter to the end of the year. Anything to do with some brutal change that might have happened, divorce, illness, or death, or passing of someone, sudden separations, bankruptcies. Pluto in the 8th house can be like asking you for one last time to kind of do psychological healing of those things and purging, so to speak. It brings back again a bit more intense themes of life and death and rebirth and transformations and trauma. One last dipping into the subconscious that actually Jupiter is helping illuminate a lot in your 12th house, which is also connected to the subconscious. And believe me, I know that you as a Gemini are so many energies in the subconscious houses, Jupiter, the North Node, Pluto dipping back. It's a bit intense. It's just as a Gemini, you want to be free as a bird, fly around, be above those things, and they're dragging you underground, turning you into Persephone. You're like, I want to be outside in the spring, flit like a butterfly. Why are you dragging me to the underworlds again? Well, sometimes we have to do this deep cleaning, and that's one last tugging back, but you're already used to it. You're like, oh, okay, I know, been there, been to this underground. I'm familiar now with the spider webs in my subconscious and the dark recesses of my shadow and of the collective shadow. You, with Pluto and transiting the 8th house since 2008, you saw the dark side of life. So it's not something that will scare you anymore, but it's kind of like bringing you back to those themes a little bit and also it can be themes of mutual finances, resources, mine, yours, that you have to deal a little bit more till the end of the year. And the 8th house is also connected to trust issues. Do I trust you? And so on. Who has the power? But again, that made Gemini powerful psychologists, psychological analyzers over the last 10-15 years. So you're really powerful at this now. Then on the 18th, Saturn turns retrograde in your 10th house, guys. Ooh, for the first time in 30 years, Saturn will be retrograde in your 10th house, Gemini. And the first time out of three more years after. So this can be the time when you really start, retrograde means you really start slowing things down in regards to your career, in regards to your worldly achievements, and looking more internally, turning and saying, I want to change something. I want to restructure something. Something needs to be done. If you're not satisfied with your career, the dissatisfaction will really intensify during Saturn retrograde in the 10th house, to the level that sometime in the next 3 years you have to do something about changing it, or even before that, already now, changing even the direction of a career. But usually it's kind of like to change the strategy, the structure of it. It can be also more demand and pressure put on you by some authority figure, like a parent, father figure, or a boss figure, or some government authorities that putting more pressure on you. Saturn retrograde is 3 times stronger, more intense, closer to Earth. That's making demand on you. Or it might be your inner authority that's requiring you to be more dedicated, more serious, and to get things done. But of course, Saturn also slows things down. You might feel like they're moving at crawling speed, like, oh. But it's also time when you have to things slow down so you can see the picture better, so you can be more deliberate, so you don't rush through it. So when you see things better, when they're more burdensome or slower, you can see no sleight of hand and trick of hand can happen for you. You can see how the trick is done, and whatever the deception or delusion or whatever the problem comes from, you get to see where the problem comes to in regards to your career, in regards to a relationship with authority or whatever. And I remember when Saturn started going retrograde for the first time in my 10th house, 10 years, 2017 I was, 2016, 2015 already. I became very dissatisfied with my website and the way the business was, and I decided to automate it and make it much easier on me. So it took me 2 to 3 years to do that. So it was a big restructuring of the business, to automate it, to change the whole website, the whole structure of it. So during those retrograde periods, I'll slow down again, think how I would get dissatisfied, how it can be changed, how it can be done. So don't expect overnight miracles with your career, with your worldly direction. You are doing very hard work now for the next 2-3 years, slowly, meticulously, by paying attention to details. The universe can hold you back, keep pulling you back, like you do something and come back, do it again, or do it in a different way. Because perfection is the ultimate goal. It can mean cleaning up, when Saturn is in the 10th house, some of the relationships with authority figures, re-examining them, also with parental figures. I had a big problem with my dad around that time for 2-3 years. We were like, he was so critical, so judgmental, so it was very hard work. But so sometimes those things happen. Just remember, when Saturn goes retrograde, and especially those of you Gemini that are born in the first 10 degrees, so the May born Gemini can feel it very strongly, or those the Ascendant or Moon in the first 10 degrees, Saturn is turning retrograde at 7 degrees. So the early born Gemini will definitely feel it so much more, that there is like some inner doubts, or some obstacle appears, or something slows down, or some kind of the need to restructure something in their life, to reorganize it, to become more serious about it. More pressure, more duties, more responsibilities as a sort can appear, but also more diligence, more consistency, more perseverance. That's the good side of Saturn. More seriousness. So there you go. That's for Saturn going retrograde. And on the same day, we have on the 18th, new moon in Gemini at 26 degrees. On the 18th, after the 18th, guys, you can definitely, a lot of ideas are coming around the new moon. That's the time after the 18th, so from the 19th, 20th onwards, if you want to start something new, because the new moon in your sign is very important, then it becomes easier to start new things with much more ease. So the ideas might come before, but after the 18th, you start doing them, initiate them. This new moon puts you again, revitalizes you, energy comes back. So it kind of pulls you out of this 12th house, the invisible worlds, and focuses you in the reality, in the present. But at the same time, it's a little bit, this new moon is square Neptune. That's the only problem we have here. So something new will definitely appear on the horizon in the second part of the month for many of you. But there is something that you're not fully aware of. That is, Neptune is part of that. Maybe something that sounds too good to be true. If there is such an inkling for something that is coming new into your life, because new moons is something new, just remember what I said. Something that is possible to be too good to be true. It doesn't mean the whole thing is false. Just maybe certain aspects of it. And there might be, or if especially someone promises you something, or especially if it's connected to something to do with career, or connected with something to do with authority figures, or institutions, there might be something that you don't know, you're not reading the small print about, that there's something you not fully know about, something that is, it will become clearer later on for you. Just keep this as an inklings, that there might be some either deception, or it might be kind of like a mission of facts, or it might be not seeing the full picture. But new things are coming. I'm not saying all of them are deceptive and illusory, not at all. But there is something there in it that you have to be a bit aware of. That's all I can say for now. So there you go, Gemini. Definitely your month to come out with the new moon in your sign, when you feel rejuvenated, when the strength comes back to you. Venus will be supporting you for 4 months. Jupiter is in this 12th house with the North Node. We talked a lot about that. So interesting times for you guys. And yeah, thank you so much.